you doing? And I'm assuming you are Leon.
I am Leon, and I'm assuming that I don't know who you are. So who are you?
I believe you don't. So my name is Saray Khumalo.
Okay.
I'm based in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Amazing. Joburg. I've actually been to Joburg.
You have?
Yeah,
When?
yeah. It was quite a long time ago, but I've been to Joburg, Cape Town, Durban. Nelson Mandela is a big hero of mine.
Oh, yeah, he is for all of us. Yeah, thank you. So that's great. And thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I believe you ask me questions and figure out who I am.
Well, so who are you?
So, my name is Saray, as I said. I'm the first Black African woman to summit Mount Everest and ski to the South Pole. My most important job is a mother. I'm a mother of two amazing boys. And I've been climbing mountains since 2012, and I use it to raise money for education because I believe very strongly that it is the equalizer, and it's how we can change the narrative for the next generation of Africans.
Wow. You must tell me what it felt like to go from base camp all the way to the top of Everest, and then from the top of Everest all the way down to base camp. So basically your entire Mount Everest experience.
Oh, wow. So it's an interesting one because I didn't summit on my first attempt. I attempted 4 times before I summited. So I don't know if you want me to just do the trip or the expedition when I summited, or you want me to tell you the whole story, because it can be...
You tell me what you think is best, whatever you think will inspire people.
Yeah, so I as indicated, I started climbing because I'm an accidental mountaineer. Maybe let's start there. It started as a bucket list item. I wanted to climb Mount Kili because I met an American who told me about Kili, and I felt that was my story. I needed to be telling that. So I found myself in a position to be able to do that, and I did that with a few other people, 4 other people, there were 5 of us. And we climbed. In the period when we were doing that, we were supporting a home that looks after street kids. And every month, as an organization, we would go around the office, ask for donations, and we use those donations to help those street kids. And every other month, people were just tired. They'll pretend they're busy when you come to collect the money, So I came up with an idea to say, why not use Kilimanjaro to raise money for Kids Heaven? And we did exactly that. So to cut the story short, I did summit, came back. We raised enough money, built an outdoor gym, and converted a room into a library for the home that looks after between 180 and 200 street kids. And one of the kids in the home said to me, "Do you really come from the township?" So if you've been to South Africa, you know the way we lived. The townships, that's where previously Black people lived, and the white people lived in the suburbs, so to speak. So I initially thought it was a joke, because we always joke and say Black people don't swim, until I realized that she was serious. She says people like us don't do things like this. It's students that come from Germany, from abroad, that visit them as exchange students. When they go, they raise money and do things like this. And that really made me sad as a mother of 2 boys, that, she felt like help is coming from elsewhere instead of starting from within. Was I doing enough to show my children, my 2 boys, that they don't need to be anything else? They too can change their world, can change the world that they live into. So I made a commitment to myself that I'll summit the 7 highest peaks on the 7 continents around the world, but use it to raise money for education. And I haven't looked back. So I've raised over 2.6 million, built over 15 libraries, and I've been going on. And in the process, I became the first Black African woman to summit Everest. So after this Kilimanjaro, I went to Everest for the first time in 2014. So I don't know how much you know about Everest. And in 2014, there was a big sea rock that fell in the Kumbu Icefall and killed 16 Sherpas. I don't know if you remember that. And the mountain was closed. At that time, I was a novice climber. I mean, I I don't think I should have actually been there. I was the least experienced of the lot. A lot of mistakes. When I look back, there were a lot of mistakes that I did. I had serious imposter syndrome. For example, everybody I met from Lukla going on to Everest assumed I must be going to Everest Base Camp. I couldn't be going to the top, and immediately that gets to you. It becomes a joke the first 2 times, then you get irritated. Why are you not giving me the same benefit of the doubt as the next person? So I changed my game plan. I started hiking a lot faster, almost like I needed to prove to them that I belonged. Until we got onto Everest Base Camp, and on the 18th of April, that morning around 6:00, this Iraq thing happened, and the 16 Sherpas died. And I remember running into the dining tent, and asking, what do we do? So the people that seemed like they had it together, they belonged there, they were just as shocked and shaken as I was, and it became very evident that it was my journey. I mean, I needed to decide why I was there, and that was going to help me to move forward. And there was serious, survivor's guilt, where the Sherpas, did they die because I wanted to climb? Did I really belong there? So a lot of things happened during this period. And I remember one guy that was a lot more experienced. I mean, everybody else was a lot more experienced than I was, picked up his bag and ran off Everest Base Camp. And I just realized that it was a personal journey. And I was doing it. At the time, I was raising money for a charity that feeds children at a school, because education is something that I believe in very strongly as an equalizer. And I came home and realized that people die on the highway. It was their time, but it's not mine. And I needed to figure out what my purpose is, why I was served, and, why did I survive, and how I needed to use my moments thereafter before my time comes. I could be sitting here and then it's my time and that's it. So I went back, despite everybody else in my family now freaking out that people actually die. It's not documentaries, So I went back in 2015. And in 2015, there was an earthquake on Everest. I was between Camp 1 and 2. Again, Nepal lost over 9,000 people. I think about 22 people died at Everest Base Camp. And I somehow survived that. And I came back home, and as you come home, everyone that was saying, do this, is now saying, maybe, you should think twice about this, and the kids start Googling and watching YouTube, and you start losing the support, the little support that you had, and in the process, I was writing letters asking for sponsorships, and people, somebody even said, no one like you has ever done this. What makes you think, you can? So it changed from me just wanting to raise money for education into, I need to represent. What gives anybody the right to think I belong there and I don't belong there? So representation became very key for me. And I decided that I'll continue doing that. In the meantime, I went and summited Elbrus in Russia. So I'm doing the 7 summits, as I explained. 2015, after the earthquake, I came home in December. I went to Mendoza, and I did Aconcagua, which is in South America. And I came back home. And in 2016, I didn't have money. I mean, like I said, I tried to ask for sponsorship, probably wrote over 200 letters and proposals, and nobody was funding me. So 2016, I couldn't afford it. So I said, I'll save up. But something had changed. When I first went to Everest, all I did was gym 6 times a week. But I noticed that people that are runners and cyclists were having a better time in the mountains, so a lot more cardio. So I became a runner, I became a cyclist, I was doing mountain biking. And in 2016, on the 8th of August, I was doing a stage race. Do you cycle at all?
Yes.
Yeah, so I did a stage race. The first day we did about 50, 60 kilometers. The second day, at the 32 or 34 kilometers mark, I remember that because my watch broke. I was coming down a mountain and I looked and I thought, this is quite technical. This is hectic. But then I remembered because I was going for these technical classes and I squat, balance the brakes and you'll be fine, And somehow when I was going down, probably over 40 kilometers an hour, I hit the bottom. I tried to brake. I had lost my back brakes and unclittered. I don't remember. I really hit my head on a rock, cracked my helmet wide open. I ended up in a coma for over 2 weeks in 2016. And when I woke up from there, first of all, I didn't know where I was. And it was end of August when I woke up. And I just thought, I didn't think about Everest. I just thought maybe this is it because my head was messed up. And the doctors were like, don't get back on the bike because another concussion, we won't be able to fix this. And so I started walking. That was September. October, I started running. I'm sure you went to Soweto. So we have a Soweto marathon. I had an entry, which I couldn't give away to anybody. And I decided I would do half a marathon. So I went to Soweto and people were, people are vibey at the marathon. The guys that were doing the full marathon were excited. They were all singing. And I decided, you know what, I'll just do a full marathon. If I end at 30, that's it. That's okay. I joined them and I did the full marathon and I finished. When I got the medal, I've got a picture where I'm jumping. And the next day I was at Mill Park Hospital at the doctors. I'm like, I ran 42 kilometers. Surely I can still climb. I think the poor man was probably like, he's not getting involved. He's like, 3 weeks before you leave, come back. And I found myself back on Everest in 2017. And 99 meters from the top in the death zone. I don't know how much you know about Everest. So you go to a base camp and then obviously you start crampons and carabiners. You go all the way up to Camp 3, start using supplemental oxygen. Camp 4 to the top, that's the death zone. And in the death zone, and we went all the way up to the south summit, which is 99 meters from the top. The winds just turned. It was just really a bad weather window. And I said to my Sherpa, it's the first time I'm this high, so I don't know any better. I'm thinking, is it always like this? He says, no, bad weather. Now look behind, all my teammates had actually gone back. It was just me and Nawang, my Sherpa. So I said to him, I've got extra oxygen because I always buy additional oxygen in case, So I had, I think, about 4 additional bottles. So I said to him, maybe we go back to Camp 4 and wait for the weather to settle down. And we go down. And as we were going down, something wasn't right. I kept saying, I'm feeling weak because you should actually be getting stronger as you go down because there's a lot more oxygen. And he says to me, no, but we can see Camp 4. Don't worry. We'll figure it out when you get there. But then I lost consciousness. And a lot of what I'm saying now is what I was told. So he couldn't help me. And he went to Camp 4, got other Sherpas. They came and picked me up. We got to Camp 4. Apparently, the winds were so bad that our tent was blown off. So he picked makeshift tents there and put me there, but changed my oxygen tank, which probably somehow saved my life. And the next day, I just felt somebody, touching me. And I woke up. I saw these Sherpas. I recognized one of them. I'm like, Lakpa. And he says, oh, you're alive. I'm like, of course I'm alive, but I'm hungry. Now, they had not fed me, but, to their credit, they did change the oxygen tank, but they also were not sure whether I'm alive or not. So he says he has no food, but he had water. He gave me water. And I said to them, I'm not getting on the stretcher. I'll walk on my own, and I looked up at Everest and I wondered if all those people that said I didn't belong on the mountain were right. For the first time in the journey, I also started doubting myself. Do I really belong? Was I just being stubborn? Was this God's plan? And I left and was airlifted from Camp 2. And I came home very despondent. Inside, I'd given up, but I was always training and I didn't tell anybody, that I didn't think I would go back. But I stopped writing letters. I thought to myself, when I was so optimistic and I thought this is it, no one wanted to sponsor me. Why would they now, And in 2018, I remember sitting down in the lounge and my son, he was 15 at the time, and he says, Mom, when are you going back to Everest? Not are you going back, like when are you going back, So I looked at him and I thought, 2020, I was really trying to get rid of him because, he plays soccer and I always encourage him. If they lose, I'm like, go back, figure it out. So I thought, I can't say I'm not going, So I said 2020, but 2019, the person that first told me no Black African woman had summited Everest, because I didn't know this until 2013, passed away. It just brought all the memories of the people that I had seen pass away on Everest and the reality of how life is fragile, how I don't have control of when my checkout time is, and I have now. So I thought, why am I waiting for 2020? I'm going now. And I packed up and I went to Everest. I didn't have enough money. I got somebody to sponsor me, I think part of the money, and I had more than half, and I got back onto Everest. And I did a few things differently. I went with a smaller team. I questioned when they said it's a great weather window. I said, why? I bought my own weather report. And I was part of the conversation and decisions that we were making. I also did something that was different in terms of I didn't go there to climb anybody else because I didn't train with them. I was confident enough in my own race. And I celebrated when I got to Camp 1 because I was very much aware of how Camp 2 is not guaranteed because I've been to Camp 4, So celebrated Camp 2, celebrated Camp 4, got to Camp 4, and we made a decision that if we're not on the top in 12 hours, we're giving up the climb. And we managed. And I got up there, and I remember just looking up with tears in my eyes, thinking about my mother. So, I'm born from my mother was a single parent, raised 7 girls. And she always used to say to us, the sky is the limit. I looked around and I saw the clouds beneath me and realized how wrong she was. The clouds were beneath me. I think the sky is really our stepping stone. And I think that changed my life. And someone like me was able to step on top of the world. That's my story. That was a bit long.
No,
I hope I didn't bore you to death.
No, you were not boring me to death. There were goosebumps. That's a beautiful story. To be able to keep on going after all of the things that you just shared with me happened to you, to keep on going and to actually reach the summit and to realize that the sky isn't the limit.
No,
that
absolutely.
If you persevere, if you never give up, if you believe, if you find a way,
yes,
the sky isn't even the limit.
No, absolutely not. And I think if we teach that to the next generation, it's going to change. Look, it's going to change Africa. It's going to change how we see things. It's going to change the world. I think many times we are our own enemies because we place all these limits, limiting beliefs, I think they call them. And it's not just us, it's the society. Because before I started doing this, everyone's like, we don't do this. So if we don't do this, why should I bother trying? What are other things that we are capable, we are born to do? When I started, my website said, I'm just an ordinary African woman trying to reach extraordinary heights. I've since changed my website. I am uniquely extraordinary, and so is everybody. And being ordinary is a choice. It's when we decide to follow the norm that the world has dictated that we become ordinary. But otherwise, we are born extraordinary.
Wow. Being ordinary is a choice.
It is a choice.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So tell me, you explained getting to the top. What about getting down?
Yeah.
How was that? Because, you'd reached your moment that you'd always wanted to reach.
Yeah.
And I often hear that getting down from the mountain can actually be the most dangerous.
It is. Most people actually die coming down the mountain. In fact, we were 3 climbers and our leader, Irish guide. When we were coming down, one of us actually remained on the mountain. So coming down is generally dangerous because some people, there's what we call summit fever. I'll climb at all costs, but not realizing that the summit is halfway. When you come down, you need to have still enough oxygen to get you to the bottom. You still need to have enough energy to be able to get you to the bottom and warm enough to be able to get to the bottom. So when you summit and you don't go back to Everest Base Camp, it's not a summit. It's a summit only when you get back to Everest Base Camp. So coming down, I remember we didn't stay for long. The weather was turning a little bit quickly, I think about 25 minutes.
So you were on the top for 25 minutes?
Yes, about 25.
It must have felt like a lot longer than that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. A lot longer. I didn't even check out my oxygen mask. I remember everyone was like, how do we know it's you? I'm like, I don't care. If you think it's me, if you think it's somebody else inside, I'm not. It was freezing. I mean, you check out any skin that's exposed, you can actually feel the cold almost cutting your skin through. But we were there for about 25 minutes. And then when we were coming down, I remember standing and looking back, almost like FOMO, like, what did I miss? I may never do this again, And we came down. His name is Seamus, was in front. He went down quite fast, and I was behind with the leader and my own Sherpa. And when we came down to Camp 4, I went straight into my tent, into the sleeping bag. It's a lot faster than going up, but you are also cognizant of the fact that it's the most dangerous. You could get excited and run and sleep, which has happened in the past. You also could run out of oxygen. Then what do? You can't run. You still need to keep yourself onto the rock anchored. So a lot could go wrong, When we got to Camp 4, slept for a few minutes before there was commotion because one of us was missing suddenly. And they say he fell off. He just went on the edge and he fell off. Somehow he had taken off the carabiner that was actually anchoring him because he needed to do his business on the side, and something went wrong. It becomes very unreal. You've read about it. You've heard about it. It happens to other people. But this is happening to a team. And we were we were 4, quite intimate. So you knew everybody. When the family called at base camp, you also said hello to the child, the wife. So that really changed. All the excitement about the summit was gone. Like, I didn't think about the summit until I got to Camp 2, and somebody said, a Polish climber said to me, Sarah, congratulations. And I'm looking at her confused because I didn't like, about what? He says, you summited. And I just started crying because we left Camp 2. We waited for a bit, tried to find him, and our oxygen was kind of getting depleted. So we were kind of running down, and the weather was changing. And it was like, survival. We need to get out of here. So you completely forget about that moment as you come down. At least I did, and I'm sure for everybody else that was in my team. But coming down to Everest Base Camp, it wasn't very somber or anything, although the leader, had a bottle of champagne and whatever. But coming down home, there was a big party at the airport waiting for me, which up to now, like, I wasn't expecting that, because the same people that said no to helping me or funding my expedition were at the airport getting excited. And I always say to my sons that, the world may not show you that they're cheering you on. Cheer yourself on, because they are. Once you succeed, they will be there.
Amazing. How did you take these experiences and turn them into an educational program that touches so many lives?
So I use it in my coaching. I'm an executive coach. There's lots of leadership lessons on the mountain, like you cannot believe. There is very real life lessons that we could use. If you look at COVID came and rocked the world, just like the earthquake rocked my world. How do you fail forward? How do you deal with curveballs on the mountain? How do you sit in your household? I mean, when COVID initially started, everybody just went home and locked themselves up. Think about that. That's you waiting for your weather window, and you don't know whether it's going to be tomorrow, but you need to keep yourself fit and ready while you wait for the weather window to be there. It's how do you have the mindset that is almost optimistic, irrespective of what's happening around you in that moment, and how do you transition from what you are to what you need to be because the situation has completely changed, and then you go back to say, when you go to Everest Base Camp, there's a shepherd that you need that guides you from Lukla through the Khumbu Valley. It's not the same shepherd that you need when you need to go beyond Everest Base Camp. How do you change either your strategies? How do you change the partnerships to ensure success in your next phase? And one of the practical examples I say is when we are in primary school, we love our teachers, but we don't go with them to varsity. We needed them then. How do we say goodbye to partnerships that are no longer working, in order to move forward? So lots of lessons, and I bring that into business. Until February, I was in a corporate environment where I had a big team. And I found that the mountains have changed me, have made me into a better leader, appreciating every team member's strength and their ability to ensure success for the whole team, irrespective of where they are in terms of their portfolio or their level within the leadership chain.
So when you think of Everest now, the actual experience, like what is the abiding memory that you take from having finally climbed that mountain? Like if you think about like the one takeaway that you have from that experience, of course there's many, right? But if you think of one, like the main one, what is it?
I think the biggest one is Mandela's quote that says, "It always seems impossible until it's done." I think Everest has humbled me. It's allowed me to play all roles, be a follower when I need to be, and be a leader when I need to be. But more importantly, it's allowed me to appreciate everybody's strength in my environment and the ability to learn from other people. I'll tell you why, because Everest is traditionally white male rich, and a lot of times not all of them are as experienced. So they get there and they want to be CEOs on the mountain. No, that shepherd that may not have gone to school needs to be the leader in that point. And not everybody is very comfortable with that. So I think that the biggest thing is it's allowed me to lead, be comfortable with my role in every moment and every situation.
I mean, that's a life-changing thing.
Yeah,
if everyone can do that, that's a life-changing thing. And I think that, I don't know, the mountain really often is a metaphor for like each individual has their own mountain to climb, right? And you had an experiential moment, many moments, where you actually climbed your mountain, right? And no one can ever take that away from you. Like whatever happens, you climbed your mountain and you came back and it's inside you. That experience is there. And you can now use that experience to help other people climb their mountain, their metaphorical mountain, right?
Yes. I'm actually laughing and getting excited because I've just launched my book. Let me read you the last paragraph. It's very short. It says, every one of us has his or her own personal mountain to climb. It might not be Everest, and it might not be a physical mountain. Yours might be in the boardroom, on a bicycle, in your family, at school, or even in the health of your own body. The reality is there is always something we need to achieve, something big and difficult and meaningful. Whatever it is, continue to believe in your limitless potential, because the summit is possible if you keep stepping. I believe that we are all extraordinary and have the capacity to do extraordinary things in our lifetime. Whatever your personal Everest, I wish you strength, purpose, kind weather, and some luck, but more importantly, God's blessings. When you get there, remember to be thankful, and then reach down and pull someone else up with you. So you're absolutely right. I think the mountains they've been a blessing to me in more ways than I can ever imagine. And I hope to inspire the next generation to believe in their limitless potential, and especially women.
And I think that's a beautiful place to stop, because one can't inspire anyone more than saying something so simple, which is everyone has a mountain.
Yeah.
Everyone can find their way to the top of their mountain. And when you do, everything changes.
Absolutely.
And you did just that.
Yes. You know what is interesting is once you've been up there, what you have seen, no one in the valley can ever describe to you. And no one in the valley can take it away from you.
Wow. Well, look, thank you so much. It's truly an honor to hear your story. And I love the end. I love the whole thing, but the last few minutes when I kind of talked about the mountain and you kind of picked up your book and were like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm about. It just all kind of felt like the jigsaw was complete, right?
Absolutely. And when are you coming with me? I was told that you are very excited. You follow all your guests. So I'm thinking in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to Kilimanjaro. So I'm thinking, let me extend the invitation. You never know.
You're going to Kilimanjaro in 2 weeks?
Yeah, I'm taking a group of women to Kilimanjaro. In fact, they come from, where are you? They're from Wisconsin.
Okay, I'm Los Angeles. I live in LA, but I'm English. It's interesting. I'm actually going to Namibia. I'll be there in August for a couple of weeks. I was in Tanzania, which is an amazing place. But let's definitely stay in touch. I mean, I don't know if I could climb Kilimanjaro. I mean, of course I could.
Yes, you could. I'm looking at you. I'm thinking, what have I been doing with you all these minutes?
I know. Of course I can climb Kilimanjaro. I can do it. Yes, I know I can. Yeah.
No, let's keep in touch. In October, I'm doing Everest Base Camp. You could at least do that, but let me know. I would love to meet you.
Everest Base Camp. I've always thought about that. Everest Base Camp. Yes, let's absolutely stay in touch. And thank you so much. And it means a lot to me to when I meet South Africans, to be honest with you, because like I said earlier, the South African story, specifically with apartheid and specifically with Nelson Mandela, is an inspirational story of the greatest mountain climber in the world, right? Mandela. Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. There's a man who climbed more mountains than anyone, the tallest mountain ever. Yeah.
Absolutely. And he does have a quote where he says, after climbing one hill, one realizes that there is many more to climb.
He's right. So it really, I don't know, I feel an affinity with South Africans because we've all, to a certain degree, I know we talked about the mountain, but we're all kind of in our own prison cells up here in our minds, right? And Mandela found a way to transcend his inner prison cell as well as his literal prison cell, right?
True.
And if he can do that, and if you can climb Mount Everest after all the things that happened to you that should have stopped you from climbing Mount Everest, then everyone can climb their own mountain.
Definitely.
And
you
I hope
can climb Kilimanjaro.
I'm going to climb Kilimanjaro. Okay.
That's it.
Not in 2 weeks because I can't, but let's stay in touch.
Okay. Cool. It's a deal.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Hello everyone, it's Leon here, aka the Kindness Guy. If you like my videos, which I hope you do, don't forget to press the subscribe button and also to ring the little bell so that the notifications notify you that I have a new video out in the world.